Hey, thanks for joining me. Hope you're doing well. We live on the division sign. The division sign is exactly what the words are telling us. Di means two or double, and vision. The line represents our flat plane that we're currently on. The two dots are the black sun and the white sun. The white sun is above our head, and the black sun is beneath our feet. Here's a rough diagram showing this. They're at opposing ends of each other and at the same time are one of the same. How can I say this? Well, one light hole is a black hole, and the reverse is true as well. It's a universal law that energy cannot be contained. At the moment, we are fractalized beings. One piece of DNA has all of the information your body uses to form you, and this is identical to holograms. In a hologram, the whole object can be reconstructed from a small part of the hologram. Just to make my point clear, a hologram can be broken up into small pieces, and each one will enable the whole of the original object to be imaged. Cloning never requires a large chunk of your body. One skin cell, for instance, is enough. All the cells in a person's body have the same DNA and the same genes. We've been fractalized. We are holograms. The proof is in what we are made of. Holograms appear three-dimensional but are really just two-dimensional objects that have had lasers shown on them. We are two-dimensional at the moment but appear three-dimensional. Last year, an article came out in the Physical Review Letters stating that the universe might be two-dimensional, except we perceive it as three-dimensional. It hypothesized that the flat surface of the universe contains all the information we need to sense three dimensions, much like a hologram. Our DNA is carbon-based. Carbon, as we know, has 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. 666. We already have the mark of the beast on us. There is a mathematical and numerical link between ancient alphabets and our DNA. Yahweh is a 4-letter word. 4 is the number of the Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton represents the name of the Creator using 4 letters, while only using 3 from the Hebrew alphabet, Yud, Vav, and He, which is used twice. Similarly, DNA contains 4 nucleotide letters, but read only 3 at a time. The name Yahweh is no more static than the DNA sequences and can be rearranged for different functions. Rearranged, these letters make the names Haya, which means was, Hoveh, which means is, and Yihiyeh, which means will be. The Tetragrammaton represents the God computer which is projecting our reality. This Tetragrammaton, which we refer to the god El, isn't inherently bad, but it has a sort of virus in it. Archons and reptilians have flooded this plane, and by successfully redirecting the collective's energy towards satanic principles, that is exactly what is being reflected back. Yahweh, El, whatever you want to call this computer deity, it's projecting back what the collective intention is putting forth. We're living inside of a projection of Saturn. When I say Saturn, I don't mean the physical planet of Saturn, because we live in an enclosed flat plane. Nothing escapes, nothing comes in. Astrologically, Saturn represents authority, limitation, and confines, and that's exactly what we're seeing on this plane. I'd like to mention that Saturn is another name for Satan. One is early Latin and one is late Latin. The cube, ring, and hexagram are all symbols of Saturn, and they're throughout our lives. In company logos, in sculptures, in flags, in architecture, it's everywhere. This is Saturn worship, which is Satan worship, which is directing energy towards limitation. Again, we're two-dimensional beings at the moment, but appear to be three-dimensional. These aren't our original bodies, and they're holograms just like the world we're living in. And you don't even have to look past science to let that sink in. We know that the quantum behavior of particles shows that reality appears not to exist until it's actually measured. Physicist Tom Campbell expands on this in his book series, My Big Toe. Most of what he says is based on conventional science, but he does highlight the virtual reality we're all in. He answers the age-old question: if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody there to hear it, does it make a sound? And the answer is no. There's no tree or forest until someone is there to get a data stream of the forest. If consciousness is directed towards something, it exists. Don't confuse what I'm saying. This doesn't make everything null and void. We can move, talk, and think in this hologram, but this hologram is absolutely trapping us. Rich Terrile, one of NASA's scientists, has even suggested that our creator is a computer programmer. There's an energetic grid placed on our flat plane, and this is working with the moon to create interfering waves that are further locking this reality in confining constructs. In the Bible's book Genesis, Adam was the grid and Eve was the moon, made from a part of the grid. I have a video explaining that for more info. We're on the grid, the checkerboard. The checkered floors in Freemasonic temples are often considered to mean duality. The checkerboard is emblematic of the free will we have in a polarized world. Polarization happens when people become divided into contrasting groups. So this concept of duality is not a good thing, because we have to become whole and complete, not divided and dual. A duel, as we know, is a fight between opposing forces. At the core, the checkerboard made of black and white represents the black sun and the white sun that have been separated from our consciousness. We see the checkerboard all throughout media. So the white and black sun are two suns but are also one in the same. One side of a light hole is a black hole. Look at this diagram of a supposed black hole. We're given a few parts: the singularity, the accretion disk, and the event horizon. The accretion disk is a flattened band of spinning matter around the event horizon. We're told the event horizon is a type of one-way membrane. It's the point of no return. When an object crosses the event horizon, it's inevitably sucked into this hole. Look at the word event horizon. We can break this up into everyone enter her eye zone. This word is telling us a black hole isn't something that's out there, but at the center of our plane where we must enter. Why her eye zone? Because our Earth, our divine mother, is feminine. The singularity of a black hole is the point where density and gravity become infinite and space-time curves infinitely. It's where the laws of physics cease to operate. So we go into a singularity upon entering the I zone at the center of our plane. The singularity event proposed by Ray Kurzweil is the dawning of a new civilization that enables us to transcend our biological limitations. Among many reasons, this future event has been placed in the public consciousness to coincide with the black hole's singularity, where upon entering we achieve everlasting life, and therefore transcend our biological limitations, these bodies that are holographic prisons. Most black hole depictions show a light ring around the hole, and in the NASA photos of the sun, we see blackness hiding behind the light. This is rubbing in our face exactly what I'm saying. One side of a light hole is a black hole. Upon entering the I zone of the center, we enter a place powered by the opposing force of our black sun. We are shown on black hole renderings that there is a jet trailing out of the center. This is akin to what's happening on our flat plane. We have the astral jet, what we call the aurora borealis, coming out of the center hole. Borealis, simply put, contains bore in it. Bore is short for borehole. A borehole in engineering is a deep hole made in the ground to get water. The name aurora borealis is telling us this isn't some light made from electrons colliding with the atmosphere like we're told. This is a light pouring out of a hole. So we live on a grid. This reality is holographic, and somehow we've been uploaded here. This is shown in many movies. In Disney's Alice in Wonderland, Alice follows a white rabbit into a hole, where she ends up in a world that is unknown to her and pretty frightening. Rabbits are often used as a symbol of fertility or rebirth. The rabbit means birth. Alice is being birthed into another world. The tunnel she falls through has a grid surrounding it. She falls onto a checkerboard. The room she enters has grids on the walls and a checkerboard floor. During this opening scene, Alice already realizes she made a mistake and wants to go home. She cries, "Now I'll never get home." The caterpillar represents the hidden in plain signs that are pointing out of this matrix. As Alice approaches, he is singing the vowels. Our vowels contain a message. The vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. We can turn the E 90 degrees to the left and then place the A and Y next to it. This spells way. The I represents the green astral light that is at the exact center of our plane, just like the exact center of this phrase we're about to spell. And when we add a T at the end, it spells way out. The way out is where the astral light pours out from. The caterpillar reveals a coded poem. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale. How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. The crocodile is the reptilian virus that has infiltrated this reality, but does so in a sly, manipulative manner, with a grin. We are the fish who are being eaten. Alice leaves, but the caterpillar waves her back, telling her there's something important he has to say. When she comes back, he gives the advice, keep your temper. He then blows a bullseye and marks the center. First off, temper isn't what it sounds like. The root word temperare means to be moderate, to restrain oneself. In the 1600s, temper was a calm state of mind. And this is why we say, don't lose your temper. Don't lose your calm state of mind. The center is marking the hole where we must pass through to get out of this wonderland. We must restrain ourselves from the trappings of this world and lean towards truth. During one of the forest scenes, Alice is trying to find her way home. The mome raths point her to the correct path via an arrow, but a dog with a broom for a face ends up erasing it, leaving Alice in the middle of the forest with only a small portion of the path left. This is akin to the symbols that have been showing the truth about this reality and the way out. We are given tons of truth, but at the same time, disinformation and false teachings are put out that are meant to confuse us. So if we don't decode correctly, we're left with a fraction of the truth, a fraction of the path. Eventually, Alice and the Queen of Hearts play a game of croquet. The game is rigged, however, and this is just like our laws. We're told our governments are here to protect freedom, but that's not the case. The rules are set up to benefit the elite, and yet we're told justice still exists. The cards, who are the Queen's henchmen, are the croquet wickets, but move according to the movement of the Queen's ball. This means no matter what happens, the law and the order followers of the elite will always bend to benefit them. In the original book, Alice's last words are, "You're nothing but a pack of cards," right before she wakes up from her deep sleep. Before waking, she's realized that nothing is real in this wonderland, and the reality that she was afraid of being in is actually a hoax, a mere hologram. Everyone who's watching this video is Alice. We're waking up to what's going on around us. We're in Wonderland right now. And when we go into the center of our plane, we will be transported back into our original bodies, where we'll wake up, and this whole thing will have been nothing more than just a bad dream. I want to show this clip of the 80s version of Through the Looking Glass. Alice has somehow gotten trapped through the looking glass, and shortly after she is terrified by a reptilian-type creature. She prays over a checkerboard and is then in front of a portrait of an owl. The owl is a symbol used in Freemasonry and is the animal that's shown to be worshipped at Bohemian Grove. Since it hides in darkness and avoids the light, the owl has came to symbolize Satan. I think this clip is pretty self-explanatory. The checkerboard, reptilian, you get it. So if you haven't shed your blood over your divine intent, I recommend you catch up on what it is and do a YouTube search to check out all the others who are doing it. We are shedding our blood over our divine intent to come into full awareness about what's going on in this reality. This works, and it's not a satanic ritual. It's the furthest thing from it. Watch some videos about it and then place your blood beside ours. Together, we will get out of this mad wonderland. I'll be talking about all of this in future videos. Thanks for watching. I love you all.